repetition of the events that have taken place here in Los Angeles recently, we have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dupes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coon. The white man to go nuts if he can't shoot. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
I'm
Queen.
getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get
It's the one and only queen of receipts, the dropping gems in these YouTube streets. The lawyer Royce, nowhere to go. Tune in for the infamous morning show, giving the news that you need to know. So don't you dare miss the wake-up call. Then in the evening, I got all for y'all. Get your dose of daily vitamins. You know the queen makes it make sense. So true. Sex game, my kick, the words, my faith, can't even only be money says. It's like an earthquake, I'm calling you out. Freedom close to hand, this kid of on the bound. Such an awesome place, just a more for all.
All right, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. Okay, so as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button, okay? And don't forget to do that, and also follow me on Instagram at Dr._A_Shakur, TikTok at Dr. A Shakur, and Twitter at DGoddess27. And as per usual, if you don't like what the Queen is cooking, honey, ask yourself, why are you here? Okay? Christopher said, Queen is like an earthquake. I prefer to call myself a hurricane, beloved, but thank you. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, I am so sorry for being late. I absolutely accidentally deleted one of my receipts and I had to download the whole thing all over. So let's get into it. Everyone get the likes up, okay? Let's see who's in here. Above all that drama talking about no trolls allowed, okay? Well, they can come in here if they want, but they will get roasted. Deronda G from the land, love her. All hell nah, AM. Lucida is here. Pretty Wings. Anita Harrell, Fat Boo. Jeff ATL Jr. is here. Viv Tex says Mercury retrograde. Honey, you already know. Okay, this is likely why I've been having issues for the past few days. Technical issues always torment the queen when Mercury is in retrograde. Okay, please pay attention. So with that all being said, Trisha said, wait a minute, is that shade? Trisha said, we're used to your tardiness, Queen. Hello. How dare you? Claudette is here, the World Wide Web podcast. All right, shout out to you, beloved. Red Wine Entertainment. Love Patsy, Lisa Jackson, Miss Twinkle. All right, when the lights hit the ice, I twinkle and glisten. Okay. All right, Rosalind is in here. Christopher, Derek, Elaine. All right, no Mustang. Sending a super chat early this morning says, you are almoning. I'm not sure what that word is, beloved, but thank you, because I'm sure it's something nice. Okay. And thank you for your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Oh, amazing. Okay. Amazing. That's what I was thinking. Okay. Well, thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. That's certainly a good compliment. I try to be the best I can be, beloveds. Okay. Christopher said, we love you, Queen. And I love you all right, Black. Okay. And if you're not Black, I still love you. Okay. So let's get into it. The Thrifting Channel, Kai is here. Okay. Hey, Danielle. Queen, wife, mom. Okay, so listen, everybody. We're going to get into the nefarious things that's been going on with Jay-Z, and let me just preface that by saying allegedly. I don't want Jay-Z trying to sue me, honey, because he's not playing games. Okay, have y'all seen what's going on around here? But before we get into it, I have a video that I meant to show you guys yesterday, but I absolutely forgot. So do you guys remember Diddy's former bodyguard, Joseph Sherman, also known as Big Joe, who was accused in the assault with Diddy, the Grape, of Thalia Graves? Now, he said that he didn't do it. He maintains his innocence, and he, in fact, issued a statement and said that he was going to sue Thalia Graves for lying on him. Well, so here's a brief clip of an interview where they were questioning him about it. Okay, please pay attention. I found this on Instagram days ago.
Actually,
so at first, she says that she was brought into a hotel room with you and P. Diddy to discuss her boyfriend's performance issues. Is that something that would happen regularly, where you would be in a meeting to discuss her someone's professional?
Does this even make sense to you, what you just asked me? Listen to what you're asking me. I'm a bodyguard that's here to protect an artist. And this woman convinced y'all that I walked into some strange meeting about her boyfriend that I never seen in my life. Does it even make sense? Just listen to the logic of what you're asking me. It's not even logical. You definitely can.
So.
Okay, here's the thing. Now, I'm not sure where that line of questioning was going. I think that she took something out of context, and he likely knew it. When she said, did you go into a meeting or tell her that you all were having a meeting about her boyfriend's performance issues? And then she says about something about sexual. Well, lady, when the documentation said something about performance issues, I never took it to mean they were talking about performing in the bedroom. I thought that because the boyfriend supposedly worked for Diddy, they were talking about his performance on the job. So I think she may have taken it out of context or taken it the wrong way. And so then she asked him that foolish question, and you heard his reply. Okay, this all sounds nefarious, says Christopher. Yes, it does. Sheila said setup question. Exactly what I was thinking, okay? I mean, was this all a ruse? Because remember, I did show you the alleged text messages, okay, from Thalia and from a couple of other people who claim that they know what happened between her and Big Joe and Diddy. So, there's that. All I'm saying is I can't believe any of these people at this point. Red White Entertainment said she was reaching. Okay, clearly, honey, because why would anybody ever be having a meeting with someone's woman about their performance in the bedroom issues? I'm sorry, make sense. But anyway, what do I know? Well, I'll tell you what I do know is that Jay-Z has been accused of nefariousness. And so let's talk about it, because what I find interesting is all of the satanic and demonic and the Baphomet field and the Molech and all of these things going on with a lot of these people in the entertainment industry. And that pertains to Hollywood and the music industry. Okay, so let me just show you all what I saw just this morning when I woke up. This is the first thing I saw on X. Now, why is this important, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur? Why do you even care that you saw a picture of Jay-Z and Ellen on X this morning as soon as you woke up? Well, I want you to look at the emblem on their hoodies. See, yeah, that's symbolism. Very nefarious, I might add. And to me, that was a sign. You know, the Most High always gives the Queen signs. And I think that was a sign because just yesterday or the day before, when I was gathering receipts for this broadcast, I got a video of what that little sign right there with all these celebrities wearing it. Okay, it's symbolisms. And so, yeah, I just want you all to pay attention to the nefarious things that go on. And also, you know, something else that I've been meaning to tell you guys, I kind of forgot. Do you all remember when Lamisha Fuller, with her lying little old self, her and Adria English both, but do you remember when she was talking about how, you know, she was the girl on the table when they were eating the sushi? And first of all, let's be clear, that was not her. Okay, that was not her at all. That was a thin person, okay, a shapely person. That was definitely not Lamisha. That person didn't have all those tattoos all over them, looking all ghetto. Okay, but here's the thing. You know, the bottom line is let's go to that picture because, you know, I don't know why I hadn't thought about this before, but what Diddy was doing when he was having those parties and he'd have the women on the table, because he did this on many occasions, if not all, had the women laying up there with the food on them and everybody feasting off of them. You know, that was not only something reminiscent of what they did back in the ancient Roman days when they had the Bacchanalias celebrating Bacchus and all of the, you know, orgies of festivals and things that were going on, but also that is spirit cooking. Diddy was spirit cooking. I want you to pay attention because all of these devils do the same thing. He was absolutely spirit cooking. You see that I had to cover up her little bitties and all that stuff. But that was spirit cooking because Marina Abramovic, Jay-Z's good friend and the Hollywood witch, as she's affectionately known, she engages in the same thing, you see. Look at Lady Gaga. It's all disgusting, but these people absolutely engage in spirit cooking. Okay, Diddy included. Diddy included. All right. All of these people are just, you know, if you saw the movie that I keep telling you all about, that old movie by Roman Polanski, Rosemary's Baby, when she found out that her husband had sold his soul and did all these nefarious things, agreed to allow them to have the devil impregnate his own wife so that he could achieve fame and fortune in Hollywood. Well, one thing that Rosemary said in that movie when she found out that all of them were in on it together, she was going from one person to the other trying to get help. But nobody was helping her. They were just sending her around in circles because all of them were involved in the satanic covenant. Okay, they were all witches. And that's when she realized it. And this guy gave her a book and she read it. It said, all of them witches. So that's what I want you all to remember because that wasn't just a movie by Roman Polanski. Okay, those were very deep subliminal messages. Okay, please pay attention. Very deep subliminal messages in there. Okay, Measured Man says, Queen, yes, I have the pictures of the Rothschilds events and a lot more pictures and party pics. Also, pieces from Eyes Wide Shut, Nicole Kidman's father. Ooh, honey, don't you dare talk about Nicole Kidman's father. You mean Dr. Anthony David Kidman, who ran away to Singapore after he was accused of molesting and raping all these people when they were little people? This is all nefarious. And then he turned up dead and he also belonged to a whole satanic cult. You talking about that man? Honey, I know all about it and it's all nefarious. And Fiona Barnett, shout out to her for exposing him, okay, and all of the rest. Now, thank you, beloved, for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. And thanks for both of the super chats this morning. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, my Aunt Egypt said witches and warlocks. Yes, absolutely. So first of all, let's talk about Marina Abramovic. Okay, now this is Jay-Z's good friend. She was even featured in his Picasso video. And I told you all this before. We talked about it briefly. I literally just mentioned it days ago. Okay? Literally not days ago, months ago. And I also want you all to pay attention to something. Because, you know, when Jay-Z issued his statements, You all may remember that when I did my TikTok on it, I specified that when in his statement where it said physics, I said I think he meant psychics. Okay. And he clearly meant psychics, and no one else caught on to that until after I said it, because he was talking about Sloan Bella. Because Sloan Bella has been saying things about his demise. Okay, I've predicted things about him myself. And so, yeah, he said, you're fake psychics. So, honey, sit down somewhere, Jay-Z. Okay, Jay-Z knows all about psychic phenomena. Okay, he knows all about the spiritual realm. Okay, both the good and the bad, because he's dabbled in it, allegedly. Okay, and so he needs to sit down somewhere and try to discount people or discredit people. But with all of this powerful stuff that he knows, and with all of these powerful witches and high priestesses that he deals with and warlocks, why doesn't he give them to get him out of trouble right about now? Why doesn't Diddy do the same? Well, because this is not working for them. Okay, this is not working for them, and there's a very good reason as to why. Now, first off, like I said, let's talk about Marina Abramovic, who's clearly nefarious, and her spirit cooking and all of that. Now, I'm going to be reading you some things, and I'm going to try to be careful how I choose my words. And let me just say, for the sake of it all, this is all satire and conspiracy theories. Okay. Now, so this is an article about Marina that came out June of 2017, when there are some strange things or a strange event that occurred that she was allegedly involved in pertaining to Hillary Clinton and John Podesta, who at the time was Hillary Clinton's campaign chairperson. Okay. So now that the election is over, we're looking back at one of the most bizarre topics that surfaced from the campaign. Days before the election, WikiLeaks released a batch of emails containing a note from performance artist Marina Abramovic. And let me tell you all something. I have all of that because remember, those of you who are following me since 2020, I absolutely have Hillary's emails and did a whole video about it. Okay, but let's continue. Now, with that all being said, it was from performance artist Marina Abramovic to Tony Podesta, brother of Hillary's campaign chairman, John Podesta, and it set off a strange chain reaction of accusations that tied Clinton and Podesta to the occult and Satan worshiping from the alt-right. Now, mind you, this is all conspiracy theories. None of it's true. Okay, James Westcott, Abramovic's biographer and the author of When Marina Abramovic Dies, writes this post to clear the air. Breaking news. Clinton's campaign manager participates in a cult ritual with bizarre Balkan Satanists. Of all the crazy tales fabricated in this election, this one might be the most insane. Not just for the paranoid conspiracy posted by the alt-right, Clinton's satanic network, for the fact that a performance artist, Marina Abramovic, found herself tossed into the hollow core of the nation's election news cycle, enduring decades of obscurity in a tiny art world niche. Abramovic may have been elevated to an A-list celebrity after her MoMA performance. The artist is present in 2010, but is now shown up on the alt-right's radar in a whole other level of fame. And it's called nefariousness. Okay, it's called nefariousness. Now, for the record, spirit cooking is nothing but a little known and measured performance that Abramovic did in an Italian gallery back in 1996, in which she painted apparent instructions on the wall with pig's blood. That's what she did. And she said the reason that she used pig's blood is because it was the closest thing to human blood. Now, she gave instructions, okay, with a sharp knife. I'm not going to say that part because I don't want it to seem as if I'm teaching anyone or telling anyone to do any type of harm to themselves or anyone else. But anyway, something pertaining to a knife. And then later she says, eat the paint. Now, she also painted a small kind of icon in the corner with the blood. It's pretty repulsive and rather luridly aims to shock, but it's also clearly not serious. It wasn't serious. Yeah, I beg to differ. I want you to pay attention because they try to minimize these things. Now, Abramovic also published a spirit cooking cookbook containing mystical self-help instructions like spirit inside your navel until the lake is filled, or lie motionless, listen to the heartbeat of a dog. Okay, you're not really meant to actually do these things. As Abramovic said at London's Royal Festival Hall last night in a launch event of her new memoir, Walk Through Walls, she said it's just poetry. Yeah, demonic poetry. Please pay attention. Spirit cooking later evolved into a form of dinner party entertainment, like what Diddy has. Okay, when he's having those parties in the Hamptons and all that. Okay, a form of dinner party entertainment that Abramovic occasionally lays on for her collectors, donors, and friends. That's where John Podesta comes in, or doesn't. Since he never actually attended the dinner where any guests simply where anyway, guests simply made soup, not out of blood or any other bodily fluid, while overseen by Abramovic in full on comedy, schoolmarm mode. They probably made a golden ball too, a recipe given to her by Tibetan monks after a meditation retreat in northern India. A golden ball is supposed to be eaten after a long period of fasting and meditation. I've had one at the end of a workshop that she gave to her students. I was her assistant at the time. Okay, so this was in Andalusia in 2005. A golden ball consists precisely of 7 almonds, 3 coriander seeds, 2 black peppercorns, 1 white peppercorn, and a dribble of honey. Sounds nefarious. All ground together and wrapped in a sheet of 24-karat gold leaf. And it was delicious, but I was confident that I wasn't going to become a Buddhist by eating it. Now, having known Marina for 14 years now and having written a biography, I don't think she's ever actually worshiped anything. What she has done is graze world religions and esoteric spiritual practices. I want you all to pay attention. Those of you specifically who follow my spiritual channel, says she has grazed the world religions and esoteric spiritual practices as source material for experimental performances and as meditation tools to solve her bottomless emotional pain. She essentially takes the spiritual and squeezes it into the purely bodily. It's all about the engagement or the management of simulations, deprivations, and aesthetics to achieve in a down-to-earth cause and effect way certain physical effects and mental states. Now, she kind of believes in everything and therefore, in a way, in nothing except the power of the body. Now, here's what I want you all to pay attention to, because I'm just going to tell you all right now. I was going to tell you all right now, because this is all sounding real crazy, and that's because it is crazy. Because what these people do is these people take things that came from our ancestors' ancient teachings, like the Egyptians specifically, and they use it to indulge in nefarious, satanic, wicked things. You see, what the devils do is they pervert anything that is supposed to be used for self-enlightenment, for spiritual awakening, anything that the Most High put here for us to use for good and for the benefit of ourselves and others. They take it and use it selfishly for their own gain. And also, like I said, they pervert these things, okay, and make it into something wicked and nefarious. And they use it as forms of idol worshiping, casting dark magic and witchcraft and all of these things, and engaging in sacrifices and all sorts of other things. Now, mind you, this is all conspiracy theories. None of it's true. Okay, so please pay attention. These people are something else. But let me continue. So now listen to this. Now, the literalism of the alt-right's interpretation of spirit cooking dinner recalls the culture wars of the 80s and 90s, where the line between representation and advocacy, between artifice and reality, got blurred and apparently never got back into focus for some. Since the 1980s, Abramovic has spent months in a retreat at Buddhist monasteries in northern India. Does that make her a Buddhist? She also spent months with Aborigines in Australia. You know those black Aboriginal people over there in Australia with the blonde hair that they never want to show on TV? Yeah, she's hanging out with them. Why do you think she's hanging out with them? And she also, just for your FYI, considers herself a shaman. This woman is not a shaman. You're a shaman by blood, like I myself and like my good friend Sophia Stewart, who wrote The Matrix and Terminator. Now, with that all being said, what people like her do is they try to go to these schools of mystics, or they study mysticism and, esoteric knowledge and information, or they learn it from someone, and then they use it for nefarious practices, and then they start calling themselves shamans. And very often they try to fool people, until they gain a huge following. They try to fool people into thinking that, oh, I'm just doing spirituality. You see, this is why a lot of Christian people think that we're not supposed to be dabbling in spirituality, why they think we're not supposed to be trying to open our third eye, why they think we're not supposed to be talking about aligning our chakras, why we're not supposed to be focusing on our body's energy centers and studying numerology and astrology. This is why some of these people think this, because they see nefarious, wicked people like Marina Abramovic using these things for satanic purposes, doing satanic rituals. Now, mind you, there's nothing wrong with doing rituals. Our ancestors did rituals, and they even do rituals in church. One of them is called communion. And if you look at the word spiritual, it literally has the word ritual in it. But when you have people like Marina Abramovic and some of these other people like Michelle LeMay, okay, and people like Aleister Crowley, then these people, they're demons. And so what do? They cause chaos and confusion, i.e. pandemonium. And in the middle of the word pandemonium is the word demon. The prefix pan means all. And so that means all demons. So all demons do is try to take spiritual practices meant for good and turn it into nefarious things so they can use it to worship Baphomet, Satan, Moloch, Baal, Beelzebub, and all of those. Okay, so please pay attention. It's all just so deranged. But let me continue. Now, she's hanging out with Buddhists. If they only knew who she really was. Okay? So anyway, it goes on to say she's hanging out with the Aborigines in Australia. Does that make her a shaman, adept in reading song lines and recalling the dream time? She's definitely not a shaman, like I said. Okay? She habitually performs numerological readings on people that she meets, breaking down their date, birth. Now, I do the same thing, and I just want you to pay attention because, like I said, again, they take our spiritual practices, okay? And these aren't dealt with tarot cards. I don't use those. Those are for witches, as far as I'm concerned, and nefarious purposes. I use the regular cards, okay, that represent the 4 seasons, winter, spring, summer, and fall. That's why there's 4 suits in the cards, all right? But anyway, goes on to say that she performs these numerological readings on new people that she meets, breaking down their date of birth to a single significant number. Well, that's called your birth number. And for those of you that have gotten readings from me, you already know how it works. Okay, now does that make her a Hindu mystic? No, that makes her a devil. Okay, who's trying to take good practices and use it for nefariousness. Like I said, she's twirled with Sufis. So is she one? She suspended herself from wires in homage to the levitations of Saint Teresa of Avila. Now she's levitated. I've seen, pictures or video of her levitating, okay? Now, and I'm sure that the Most High has not given her the ability to do so. It's coming from a darker force. Now, that's just my opinion. Now, does that make her a Christian? Absolutely not. She stared at snakes for hours and sat determined while a python wrapped itself around her head and neck. Now, first of all, why would anybody be doing that? Ask yourself, why would anyone of good sense and sound mind allow a python, which could squeeze you to death, to wrap itself? I'm sorry, that's an anaconda, but can a python do it too? Yes. But would wrap itself around her head and neck? This is all crazy. But just listen, does that make her a snake charmer? She's knelt down face to face with a donkey. That's because she's an ass, but let me continue. Gazing into its eyes while trying to telepathically communicate with it. Does that make her Dr. Doolittle? She's lived with quartz miners in Brazil. Does that make her a miner too? She's milked goats in Istria and helped to make cheese. Does that make her a dairy farmer? What they're getting at is because she's doing satanic things, does that make her a Satanist? Okay, I just want you to pay attention. That's why they keep saying these things. Maybe it makes perverse sense since the mission of the alt-right is to reveal reality as a lie. That they would also convert artifice in Abramovic's case, performance, into cold, hard facts. But this confusion of performance and reality, experiment and faith, does inadvertently point towards something curious and essential that Abramovic, she simultaneously utters sincere and totally comedic. So it's a joke. To neophytes, she may well look like a convincing modern day witch. That's because that's what she is. Okay. But it doesn't take much Googling to surmise that this is also performance in the traditional sense of the word, and that in reality, she's funny, frivolous, and game for anything. Well, she's anything but funny to me. I've never seen her do one thing that I thought was hilarious. Okay. In her own words, she's a lover of bullish, like celebrity and fashion. Probably it's only possible to throw yourself headlong into the type of activities that she does with a strong taste for the absurd. At the end of the workshop in Andalusia, I was surprised when, after 5 days of starvation and a detoxification of the body and the psyche, Marina cracked open a can of caffeine, sugar, and artificial color-filled Fanta one morning. When I joked with her that she was undoing all the detoxification in one stroke, she said, "Baby, come on. The Fanta is beyond." Okay, so that's just a little insight into this woman. Let me just tell you something. Back in the 70s, she did this. She calls this stuff performance art. I call it demonic rituals. Okay, I want you to pay attention because, like I said, these people always do things and try to pass it off or minimize it as if it's nothing nefarious. Now, back in the 70s, she did this thing called Rhythm Zero. It's performance art, according to her. So where she had all of these tools on a table, like a saw, a pistol, a knife, nunchucks. I mean, just a myriad of weapons, basically, right? And she had these people coming in and they were literally standing in line, and she was allowing them to use any of the tools on her however they chose. Well, somebody decided to slice her neck. Okay, that didn't kill her, of course, but they decided to slit her throat. But you need to ask yourself, why would somebody do that and call it art? You don't think that's sick? Okay, that's some type of demonic ritual. That's what that is. Nobody in their right mind would sit there with all of these weapons and then just let random people that they don't even know, because some people are crazy, right? And just have them come up and pick one and use it on them. Okay, this stuff is all sick, but this is who Jayz's been hanging out with. Okay, he's been hanging out with this woman and also following the teachings, in my opinion. Again, this is all speculation, but again, I believe that he's been following the teachings of Aleister Crowley. I think he has a great, deep adoration for his teachings. And that's why he walks around with that shirt talking about "do as thy wilt" as the whole of the law. And let me just say this. This woman, Marina Abramovic, is good friends with Michelle LeMay, who's also nefarious. Okay, let's look at her. This is Michelle LeMay right here. Now, this woman is supposed to be best friends with Kim Kardashian. There's pictures of her with A$AP Rocky. There are so many, Usher. There are so many people hanging out with her, and she too is a witch, a high-ranking witch. These people are all sick, okay? Now, if you're hanging out with these people, trust and believe you're doing the same things they're doing as it pertains to the dark arts, okay? Dabbling in witchcraft, sorcery, and all of these things, worshiping the same deities, because otherwise, why would you be dealing with them? Okay, at the end of the day, you're absolutely doing what they're doing. That's why you're so close to them. That's why you go to their parties. That's why you revere them and respect them. Okay, because this woman gets a lot of respect from a lot of people. Now, with that all being said, let's not forget how Jay-Z had "do as thou wilt." Let me remove the super chat so you all can see it. Okay, this is a quote, one of his most famous quotes. "Do as thou wilt" is the whole of the law. So let's talk about Aleister Crowley, because it is, in my opinion, that what Jay-Z, the reason he's been hanging out with these devils, not just him, others as well, is because they're garnering knowledge from these people, knowledge of the dark arts, okay, knowledge of energy harvesting, like Diddy, when he was bursting the chakras, the root chakras of these men that he was allegedly graping from the back door, even the women that he was doing it to from the back door. But specifically, I told you guys, the reason he wanted men that were not that way, because he wanted to humiliate them. It was a humiliation ritual. And also he was exerting his power and authority over them and looking down on them, just like they did in the days of ancient Rome. Remember how I told you in ancient Rome, they would conquer a people, but rather than just taking the women, they would take the men if they wanted to. Okay, those were the spoils of war. And they were only supposed to do this if they did it amongst their own people. They were only supposed to do it to those who were less than them, the ones that were like slaves or paupers. The wealthy people did this to the people beneath them. This is why people in Hollywood and the music industry do this to people, to regular people. And they do it to themselves, but they all get together in cahoots and do these things to regular people because that's just how it goes. They're doing the same things that happened back during the days of the Bacchanalians. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, Diddy was harvesting the energy from people by bursting their root chakras. Okay, I told you it's like when the Pac-Man gets the power up. Okay, and then gets stronger. That's what Diddy was doing, making himself into like some sort of satanic supervillain. Well, Jay-Z, in my opinion, is doing the same thing, but he's just doing it in a different way, not through bursting root chakras of men. You see, he's learned, in my opinion, this is all speculation, he's learned to harness and harvest the energy of people in a different way, through a different method taught by Aleister Crowley and Marina Abramovic, who also followed the teachings of Aleister Crowley. You see, Aleister Crowley taught people how to become energy vampires or psychic vampires. And those of you who follow the spiritual channel, we've talked about that at length. Okay, so now let's talk about Aleister Crowley. Now, he was born Edward Alexander Crowley on October the 12th of 1875 in Leamington Spa, Warwickshire. His father was a wealthy brewer and a Darbite, which is a preacher, a member of the fundamentalist sect known as the Plymouth Brethren or Exclusive Brethren, or known as the Plymouth Brethren or Exclusive Brethren. Crowley's parents raised him in an atmosphere of repression and religious bigotry. He rebelled to such an extent that his mother called him the Beast after the Antichrist, a name he delighted in using later in life, calling himself the Beast of the Apocalypse. Crowley was drawn to the occult and was fascinated by blood, torture, and sexual degradation. He liked to fantasize being degraded by a scarlet woman. He combined these interests in a lifestyle that shocked others and revealed in the attention that he drew. Now, what I want you all to pause here and think about is this. He liked blood, torture, and sexual degradation. Who does that sound like according to these lawsuits we've been reading for the past year? This sounds like some of the stuff Diddy was engaging in. Okay? Sexual degradation or degradation. And it also sounds like what Jay-Z has been accused of in this amended lawsuit that he's now named in with the 13-year-old. Now, I'm not saying that Diddy and Jay-Z are guilty. Again, all parties mentioned in this broadcast are presumed innocent until otherwise proven. Okay? But this is exactly what it sounds like is all I'm saying. He liked to fantasize being degraded. Okay, so he combined these interests in a lifestyle that shocked others and revealed in the attention that he drew. He was in his teens when he adopted the name Aleister. In 1887, Crowley's father died, and he was sent to a Darbite school in Cambridge. His unhappy experiences there at the hands of the cruel headmaster made him hate the Darbites, or the Darbyites. That's what it's called, the Darbyites. Now, Crowley studied for many years at the Trinity College at Cambridge, but never earned a degree. He wrote poetry, engaged in an active bisexual lifestyle. Sounds like Diddy and sounds like Jay-Z, because let us not forget that Jonathan Hay, who was close around Jay-Z at one point, I interviewed him on this channel. He's Rihanna's former publicist. He said that Jay-Z is bisexual. And he said that's not alleged. Okay, now I'm not saying it's true. I'm just telling you what this man said. He knows Jay-Z a whole lot better than I do. So he engaged in that sort of lifestyle and pursued his occult studies. The great work, the latter of which was inspired by the Book of Black Magic and Pacts by Arthur Edward Waite and The Cloud Upon the Sanctuary by Carl von Eckartshausen. Now, in his first volume of poetry, published in 1898, Crowley foreshadowed his occult excesses with his statement that God and Satan had fought many hours over his soul. He wrote that God conquered. Now I have only one doubt left. Which of the twain was God? Crowley was in his third year at Trinity when he formally dedicated himself to magic, which he spelled with a K to distinguish the science of the Magi from other counterfeits. He also pledged to rehabilitate it. He saw magic as the way of life, a path of self-mastery achieved with rigorous discipline of the will illumined or by imagination. After leaving Trinity, Crowley took a flat in Chancery Lane, London. He named himself Count Vladimir and pursued his occult activities full time. Stories of bizarre incidents circulated, perhaps fueled in part by Crowley's mesmerizing eyes and aura of supernatural power. A ghostly light reportedly surrounded him when he was in his astral spirit. One of his flat neighbors claimed to be hurled downstairs by a malevolent force, and the visitors said they experienced dizzy spells while climbing the stairs or felt an overwhelming evil presence. Well, that's because there was plenty of demons there. He had a whole legion of demons, no less, and that's because he was known to literally conjure up demons. They say that he even conjured up Satan himself. That's why he was known as the most wicked man in the world. Now, in 1898, Crowley went to Zermatt, Switzerland for mountain climbing. He met Julian Baker, an English occultist, who in turn introduced Crowley back in London to George Cecil Jones, a member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, clearly a secret society. Now, at Jones's invitation, Crowley was initiated into the order on November the 18th of 1898. He took the magical motto, Frater Perdurabo, which means I will persevere. He used the other names, among them Megatherion, which means the great wild beast, which he used when he later attained the rank of Magus. So that means he got promoted within the order, or he rose through the ranks. Crowley was already skilled in magic when he joined the Golden Dawn, and its first order bored him. He received instruction from Alan Bennett, whom he met in 1899, and Samuel Little McGregor Mathers, one of the founders of the Golden Dawn. Mathers taught Crowley Abramelin magic from an old manuscript. Now, the sacred magic of Abramelin, the Magi, which Mathers had translated, Mathers believed the manuscript was bewitched and inhabited by an entity. Now, I want you all to pay attention because this is very similar to the teachings that Diddy was enthralled in, as I told you all, according to my insider, the book called the Lamaghetan, also known as the Lesser Key of Solomon, which teaches you and gives you full instructions. It's a manual on how to conjure these 72 demons. This all sounds the same. I want you all to pay attention. See how it's all making sense? Now, with that all being said, and just pay attention because you haven't heard this anywhere else, I assure you, you've heard it here first. Okay? Please pay attention. Now, the magic prescribed a rigorous 6-month program conducted in complete withdrawal from the world, after which the initiate would make talismans that would draw money, great sexual allure, and an army of phantom soldiers to serve at his disposal. Phantom soldiers means an army of demons, aka a legion of demons. Now, Crowley intended to undergo this rite beginning at Easter 1900 at Balskin Manor, his house in Scotland. Now, when they talk about a rite, spelled R-I-T-E, that's a ritual. Okay, and this is a satanic one in his case. Now, his plans were disrupted by internal fighting in the Golden Dawn, but that led to Crowley's expulsion from the order in 1900. He retaliated by publishing secret ritual material. So now he wants to tell all their secrets because he's angry with them. So from 1900 to 1903, Crowley traveled extensively, visiting the Far East and delving deeper into Eastern mysticism. In 1903, he married Rose Kelly, the first of his 2 wives. Kelly bore him a child, a daughter named Lola Zaza. Their honeymoon lasted several months. In 1904, he went in Cairo, where Crowley was attempting to conjure sylphs, the elementals of the air. Now, see, he's going to Egypt because, like I told you guys, they always want to go back to our ancient ancestors and just dabble and get things that were meant for good and use them for nefariousness. So while in Egypt, Crowley engaged in his most significant entity contact with Aiwass, described later. Okay, the contact influenced his life and work to usher in the Aeon of Horus. So this is this Iwas, that's some sort of entity that he proclaims to have been in communication with and worked and had it, it had him doing things or whatever. And it was later, of course, it was later said that it was a demon. Crowley had a prodigious, sexual appetite and had numerous mistresses, some of whom he called scarlet women, and some of whom bore his illegitimate children. He was fond of giving his women serpent kisses, using his sharpened teeth to draw blood. Now, this man had his teeth sharpened so they looked like vampire teeth or some sort of animalistic teeth. He branded some of his women and eventually abandoned all of them to drugs, alcohol, and the streets. Crowley tried unsuccessfully to beget a magical child. He fictionalized these efforts in his novel titled Moonchild in 1929. Rose descended into alcoholism, and in 1909, she divorced Crowley on grounds of adultery. From late 1914 to 1919, Crowley lived in the United States, where he was unsuccessful in rousing much interest in his message about the Aeon of Horus. He kept a record of his sexual activities, which he titled Rex Deorte Regia, which means the royal of the king of the royal arts. Many of the prostitutes he hired had no idea that he was actually involving them in sex magic, another thing that Diddy was involved in, allegedly, and likely Jayz as well. But let me continue. He and his scarlet woman of the moment, Roddy Minor, performed sex magic and drug rituals. Doesn't this sound like the freak-offs where they put drugs in people's drinks and then do all sorts of nefarious sexual things to them? Okay. But when he was addicted to heroin for the purpose of communicating with an entity, perhaps a demon, whom Crowley called the wizard Amalantra, who existed on the astral plane. So he was able to astral project, okay, astral travel. Now, in 1916, Crowley initiated himself into the rank of Magus in a bizarre black magic rite in which he sacrificed a frog. Remember J-Lo, her ex-husband or first husband, saying that she was sacrificing hens and chickens? Okay, and Diddy supposedly engaging in the same things with her. Now, in 1918, Crowley met Leah Hirsig, a New York school teacher who became his most famous scarlet woman. He called her the Ape of Thoth. They decided to found the Abbey of Thelema, a monastic community of men and women who would promulgate the book of the law, perform magic, and be sexually free. That means having orgies and sleeping around with all these different people, the same stuff that Diddy's been accused of. Okay, these are freak-offs. Okay, no less. These are freak-offs. Okay, swapping mates, watching each other do these things, taking people by force and all of that. This is what they were engaging in back then. And so these things continue to happen till this day amongst rich, wealthy people. Okay, allegedly. Now, in 1920, Crowley found an old abbey in Cefalù, Sicily, which he took over and renamed the Sacred Abbey of the Thelemic Mysteries. It served as the site for numerous sexual orgies. Now, I want you all to pay attention, because isn't this what they were in fact doing? Isn't this what they were in fact doing in ancient Rome? Okay, having these festivals of orgies. Says it served for numerous sexual orgies and magical rites, many attended by his illegitimate children. Now, Leah bore a daughter, Anne Leah, who died in childbirth. In 1921, Crowley decided that he had attained the magical rank of Ipsimus, equal to God. That's what he thought of himself. Okay? Oh, so nefarious. But in 1923, he was forced out of the abbey after a scandal involving the death of a follower by the name of Raoul Loveday. He probably killed him. Now, in 1929, Crowley married his second wife, Maria Ferrari de Miramar, in Leipzig. Her reputed magical powers led him to name her the High Priestess of Voodoo. Now, think about it, because who did I tell you does voodoo besides Diddy? Taught to him by J-Lo, who does voodoo and Santeria. Now, they separated in less than a year when Crowley took up with a 19-year-old woman. Maria entered a mental institution, enabling Crowley to divorce her. So clearly he read the poor woman out of her mind, in my opinion. Him and the demons. Crowley's later years were plagued by poor health, drug addiction, and financial trouble. He kept himself barely afloat by publishing nonfiction and fiction writings. In 1934, desperate for money, Crowley sued the sculptress Nina Hammett for libel. Hammett had stated in her biography called Laughing Torso in 1932 that Crowley practiced black magic and indulged in human sacrifice. Well, I'm sorry, where was the lie? Where was the defamation, libel, and slander? That is absolutely what people have always said that he did. Now, the English judge, jury, and spectators and press were repulsed by the testimony in the trial. The judge stated that he had never heard such dreadful, horrible, blasphemous, and abominable stuff. The jury stopped the trial and found in favor of Hammett. Okay, and so clearly they believed what she said about him. So, and the nerve of him suing her for libel, like he's playing the victim after he's been engaged in all these nefarious things his entire life since he was a teenager. Okay, just like Jayz suing Tony Busby and trying to play the victim and act as though, all of these things are just all made up and Tony Busby's just an ambulance chaser. No, bitch, I have to agree Tony Busby is, in fact, what I would call an ambulance chaser. But however, that doesn't negate the fact of the matter of the things that he's filing against Jayz for. Now, in 1994, Crowley moved to the Netherwood, a boarding house in Hastings, where he lived the last 2 years of his life. Asthmatic, dissipated, and bored, consuming large amounts of heroin. He died of cardiac degeneration and severe bronchitis on December 1st of 1947. He was cremated in Brighton. At his funeral, a Gnostic mass was performed, and his hymn to Pan, his hymn to Pan, I want you all to pay attention, was read. His ashes were sent to followers in the United States. Numerous editions and collections of Crowley's writings have been published. Besides the Book of Law, his other most notable work is Magic in Theory and Practice, which was written in 1929. Considered by many occultists to be a superb work or unceremonial magic. Okay, these are the things that this is why, I believe that Jayz has such an admiration for Aleister Crowley, because he taught about ceremonial magic, astral projection, and all of these nefarious things that many rich, famous, elite, wealthy Hollywood stars, even politicians, music industry people, and all of these people participate in, allegedly. Now, the Equinox of the Gods, 1937, reflects the Book of the Law. The Book of Lies features 91 sermons. Now, listen to this. It features 91 sermons and commentaries on each. The Book of Thoth from 1944 presents his interpretation of the tarot. The Thoth Tarot deck, inspiring. This is why I don't fool with tarot cards, because it's for witches and warlocks, okay? All right, so it was inspired by Crowley in one of the more popular decks in modern use. Now, Crowley's works continues to inspire people, and the Thelemic organizations exist around the world. He has inspired artists in various fields. Okay, Crowley has perhaps gained more fame and credibility than during his life. He remains controversial to the extreme, vilified as a satanic occultist, and praised as a brilliant magician. Now, Aiwass, that's the entity that he often spoke about. On March 18th of 1904, Rose suddenly began trace channeling, receiving communications from the astral plane that the Egyptian god Horus was waiting for Crowley. Honey, Horus was not waiting on him, but let me continue. The communicating messenger, Aiwass, was an imposing entity described by Rose as an emissary of the Egyptian trinity of Horus, Osiris, and Iris. You see how they try to insert themselves in our culture and in our ancient practices. As I said, this thing Aiwass had nothing to do with the Egyptian trinity. Crowley considered Aiwass to be his guardian, a divine higher self, acting as an intermediary for higher beings such as the secret chiefs, superhuman adepts of the Golden Dawn. Occultists have debated whether Aiwass was an entity in its own right, or simply part of Crowley himself. For Crowley, the guardian was a discrete entity and not a disassociated part of his own personality. Crowley originally spelled the entity's name as Aiwaz, Aiwass, like I was going to the store. Okay, please pay attention. Then later changed the spelling to Aiwass, AIWASS for numerological reasons. Now, with that all been said, maybe he was engaging in some form of gematria. So anyway, Crowley envisioned Aiwass as a male entity and one distinctly different and more unfathomable than other entities he had encountered. Answers to questions posed by Crowley indicated that Aiwass was a being whose mind was so different from mine that we failed to converse, is what he said. All my wife obtained from him was to command me to do things magically absurd. He would not play my game. I must play his. On April the 7th of 1904, I was commanded that the drawing room of the Cairo apartment leased by the Crawleys had to be turned into a temple. I was ordered Crowley to enter the temple precisely at noon on the next 3 days and to write down exactly what he heard for precisely 1 hour. Crowley followed the instructions. Inside the temple, he sat alone at the table facing the southern wall. From behind him, he heard the voice of Aiwass, which Crowley describes as a rich tenor or baritone, deep timbre, musical and expressive, its tone solemn, voluptuous, tender, fierce, or aught else as suited the moods of the message, saying that the voice was the speech in silence. Later, he called Aiwass the minister of Horprokrats, or in other words, the Lord of Silence, an aspect of Horus that was the equivalent of the Greek Harpocrates. Now, during the dictation, Crowley did not see a visual apparition of Aiwass, though he did have a mental impression of the entity. Aiwass had a body of fine matter or astromatter, transparent as a veil of gauze or a cloud of incense smoke. He seemed to be a tall, dark man in his 30s, well-knit, active, and strong, with the face of a savage king and eyes veiled lest their gaze should destroy what they saw. Further, Aiwass seemed dressed in the garb of an Assyrian or a Persian. Now, Crowley took Aiwass's dictation for 3 hours on April 10th or April 8th through the 10th, scribbling in longhand to keep pace with the voice. The sessions lasted exactly 1 hour each. The 65 pages of handwritten material composed the Liber Legis, or the Book of the Law, which Crowley said saw as the herald of the new aeon or a new religion. Each chapter carried the voice of an Egyptian deity, Nut, the goddess of the heavens, and 2 aspects of Horus, Hakadits, a solar aspect, and Ra-Hur-Kut, or Kuit, or Horus of the 2 horizons. For years, Crowley remained in awe of Aiwass. In the Equinox of the Gods, he acknowledged that he never fully understood the nature of Aiwass. He alternatively called the entity a god or demon or devil, a preter-human intelligence, a minister or messenger of other gods, his guardian, and his own subconscious. The last that he rejected in favor was the holy guardian angel. Crowley also said that he was permitted from time to time to see Aiwass in physical appearance, inhibiting a human body. So demon possession, okay, please pay attention. That's exactly what he's referring to when he says he saw it in a physical appearance, inhibiting a human body. What else is that, right? As much a material man as Crowley was himself. C.S. Jones, who ran the Vancouver, British Columbia Lodge of the Ordo Templi Orientis, another secret society, mind you, said that he underwent a series of magical initiations that revealed to him that Aiwass was in truth an evil demon and the enemy of humanity. Others considered Jones to have become mad. Okay, so I'm not going to read all of this stuff because it's a whole lot. I could go on for days with all of this information about this devilish man. But let's go to this part where he's talking about this magic and stuff. Hold on. And some of the stuff that I absolutely believe that Jayz has learned from his teachings. So let's talk about vampire demons. After returning from home to Scotland, Crowley informed the Golden Dawn that he was its new head, but he received no reply. He then determined that Mathers had lauded a psychic attack against him, and he responded by summoning Beelzebub and his demons to attack in retaliation. Mathers had prepared himself for 6 months with magical procedures and rites in order to create a vampiric thought form, a vampiric thought form demon by channeling the powers of Mars, the planet of war and aggression. Mathers entered a trance state and concentrated his will into the psychic vampire, which rose up from his solar plexus. Now, I want you all to pay attention. This is absolutely about harvesting energy. The solar plexus, now, here's the thing, and pay attention. He says they say it rose up from the solar plexus. Okay. Now, for those of you that follow the spiritual channel, what have I told you about that? Something rising up from the solar plexus. I've talked about the Christ within energy. Okay. Or some call it the Kundalini energy. It goes down the 33 vertebrae of the spine and then it rises back up from the solar plexus, back up the 33 vertebrae, crossing the optic thalamus or the pneumogastric nerve. So this is what I keep telling you, that they use things that are meant for good, that the Most High put out there for us to use for the betterment of ourselves and others and to heal ourselves and all of these things. They use it for nefariousness. Okay. Not rising up from the solar plexus. But let me continue. This is all so crazy. This is all so crazy. So then goes on to say, he ordered it to attack Crowley. However, he committed a grievous error in doing the sending himself. In magic, apprentices are often used to do the sending. For if anything goes amiss and the magic boomerangs back, it will be the apprentice who suffers and not the master magician. Now, Crowley, who was of superior magical skill, took the thought form, made it nastier, and sent it right back to attack Mathers. This warfare supposedly went on for years and was chronicled by journalists around the world. Mathers' health soon began to decline, as the attacks continued. When Mathers died in 1918, his widow, Marina, blamed his death on Crowley's psychic vampirism. Please pay attention. Now, and that means he harvested that man's energy. He took his energy from him for years and caused sicknesses and all these things in him until he was dead. Now, allegedly. So prior to, and while he's absorbing and harvesting this man's energy, what's it doing? It's making him and his powers more strong, and more potent. Now, prior to his death, Mathers once described the awful nature of the thought form vampire demon. Only the upper portions of his body were visible when it would appear. Obviously female, it had narrow breasts protruding through some kind of dark raiment. Below the waist, nothing existed. The curious eyes were deep-socketed and glowed faintly with an intense coral-colored luminosity. The head was flat, set low between white, blubbery shoulders, as though it were cut off just below those fearful eyes, like tiny, useless flippers. The arms seemed like vestigial. They were like unformed limbs. This is all nefarious. But the thing didn't need arms. Its terrifying weapon was an extraordinary long-coated gray tongue. Tube-like and hollow, it bore a small orbicular hole at its tip, and that lascivious tongue kept darting snake-like in and out of a circular, lipless mouth. Sounds like a reptilian, sort of. Now, always trying to catch me off guard, it would suddenly strike at me like a greedy missile attempting to suck out my auric vitality. Please pay attention. This is what he said before he died, that it seemed as if it was trying to suck out his auric vitality. What is your auric vitality? That is your energy centers, That is your energy. Now, perhaps the being's most terrifying feature was its absolutely loathsome habit of trying to cuddle up like a purring cat, rubbing its half-materialized form against me, all the while alert, hoping to find a gap in my defenses. And when it was sometimes successful, I was not always prepared nor strong enough because he was losing his energy because Aleister Crowley was taking it through the use of this demon, harvesting all of his energy. So he says, I was not strong enough to maintain the magical barriers. It would pierce my aura with, and with that wicked tongue right down to my naked skin, causing a most painful sensation. This was followed by a total innervation of body and spirit for a week or more, a listless dread experience. Individuals who knew Crowley believed him to be quite capable of creating such a demon. So this is all nefarious, like I said. Let me see here. So I think that's enough. I think I'm going to stop right here. Now, I'll read this last part. In 1918, the same year that Mathers died, Crowley conducted an SEX magic ritual called the Almalantra, with Rhodey Minor known as Sora Ahitha. The working created a portal in the spaces between stars through which the entity Lam was able to enter the known physical universe. Since then, other entities are believed to enter through this widening portal and to be the basis for numerous contact experiences with UFOs and extraterrestrials. One of the revelations of the working was the symbolism of the egg. Crowley and Soror Ahitha were told it's all in the egg. Remember that egg test they were talking about with Diddy? And Russell Brand was sitting there with a picture with Diddy holding the egg. Now, Crowley believed Lam to be the soul of the dead Tibetan Lama from Ling, between China and Tibet. Lam is Tibetan for way or path, which Crowley said had the numerical value of 71 or no thing. Okay, he was clearly doing gematria. A gateway to the void and link between the star systems of Sirius and Andromeda. Now, Lam was to fulfill the work initiated by Aiwass. Crowley drew a portrait of Lam and said that gazing on the portrait enables one to make contact with the entity. Some consider Lam to be a demon and the portal to be one accessed by other demons. Yeah, that all makes sense to me. And that's likely why he would have a whole legion of them, because he was not only conjuring them, but he had this portal that he opened up where these demons were clearly coming through. Okay, so you all heard that. And it all sounds nefarious, and that's because it is. And so Jayz walking around with this man's quote on his shirt talking about do as thou wilt. Okay, the actual quote is do as thou wilt is the whole of the law. So why would you be friends with Marina Abramovic, and why would you be studying the teachings and be one who admires Aleister Crowley, who was once called or known as the most wicked man on earth? So let's get into some of the footage. Okay, likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now, remember this picture that I showed you all at the beginning of the broadcast. Keep that picture in mind because I'm going to show you something that makes it all make sense. But before I get into that, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. Likes up, everyone. Please be sure to hit that like button. We have 1,885 people in the chat. Please, let's get the likes up. Thank you in advance. Okay, here we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Kratz. And you can also purchase it at Walmart.com. And for the men, she also has beard oil. Okay, and all of her products work very good. You can read the testimonials. Okay, so now with that all being said, you saw the picture of Jayz and Ellen. So let's go to that. Let's start off with that.
Symbolism will be their downfall. Or is it just art? And let me be the first to tell you, it's all connected. I mean, if you know, you know. But first, let's go back to that video of Ellen DeGenerate. When the camera turns, you can see the inside of her house. Now, see that picture right there? Well, if you pause it and look it up, it says evil thoughts with revenge right next to it. Here's another picture of Ellen in her house, and this is the picture behind her. Now, the thing I'm curious about is the letters on top of the picture. These look oddly similar to the letters Marina Abramovic writes out when she does spirit cooking. Remember the beginning of the video? It's all connected. And that person that was in all red is Lady Gaga, and she went to Marina Abramovic many times for teaching. But let's continue. This is another picture of Ellen in her home. She's cutting her mother's hair, but what is that picture above her head?
Okay, so then you may have seen that image before, the one that's on their hoodies, because Lady Gaga had an entire outfit made to look like that. Also, in the movie that Tom Hanks was in, I can't remember the name of that movie, but you saw the soccer ball with that red print on it. That was in a movie that Tom Hanks was in. Okay, that's why they showed him. And it was blood. It was put on there with blood in the movie. Now, I just want you all to pay attention because they always give us symbolisms, okay? That's what they always do.
as the blood rushed out of my body. How do I explain it?
Okay, so I'm sorry. Please make it all make sense. Now, what was she doing? Okay, first of all, this is some sort of performance art that she calls it, where she has the person come and sit there and she stares at them and they stare back at her. And they say that his eyes filled with tears and she was about to cry. And let me tell you something. What she was doing was absorbing that man's energy. Okay, she's a whole energy vampire and a witch. Allegedly she was absorbing that man's energy and he didn't even know it. Now, also, Juju said Abramovic sounds like a demonic name. Yeah, it clearly does. Aqua Girl Rising said energy harvesting. Exactly. Boba said rituals right in public. Yes, right in plain sight. Okay, but people don't get it. They don't realize what's going on. And I'm here to tell you that it is my opinion that, and from an insider, the same insider that told me about the nefarious things that Diddy was indulging in and those books and stuff that he had in his house and those tools, that are used when you're trying to conjure up those 72 demons from the lesser key of Solomon. Well, told me some of this stuff about Jayz. Okay. And then told me to go and look into it. And so therefore I did. Now, so like I said, Jayz, in my opinion, is doing the same thing that Diddy's doing, just doing it in a different way. Okay. Jayz is much more laid back and reserved. You don't hear about him. Jayz is not out here acting like a thug like Diddy, out here getting into fights and acting a whole fool and hitting people with kettlebells and all that stuff and making threats. Oh, I'll kill you, and blowing up cars. Jayz's not doing any of those things. You see, Jayz was more laid back and reserved, walking around in suits, acting like a businessman. Okay, but behind closed doors, all of these people, they're all one and the same as far as I'm concerned. Okay, they're absolutely one and the same. And by they, I mean those who attended those freak offs. Okay, and even some of the ones that claim that they left early. All right, please pay attention. Now, Denzel sat there and supposedly told Brandon T. Jackson to leave 30 minutes before the devil shows up. But like I told you all, I said this when I was on Too Strong's channel, that if Denzel wasn't staying there till the devil showed up, how would he know what time the devil shows up to tell someone else to leave 30 minutes before? And if the devil's going to show up, like Too Strong said, why would you be there in the first place if you know the devil's coming? Okay, so please pay attention. At the end of the day, then we have Denzel, after all this stuff comes out about Diddy, we have Denzel now saying, that the article comes out that he got into a debate or got into an argument or yelled at Diddy in 2003 when he was at one of those parties and stayed until dawn. To be there until dawn. What was really going on? And then Denzel comes out and talks about kissing that man in the movie, even though they took that part out, and then talks about shooting up drugs. Said that he wasn't a junkie, but he was shooting up because they were shooting up. Well, who's the they that he's talking about? And if anybody was shooting up drugs, you're absolutely strung out. Okay, that's what you are. Okay, you don't just shoot yourself up with drugs just to be doing it. You do that when you have a serious drug problem. And he also admitted to having a substance abuse problem. Now, in my opinion, the reason Denzel came out saying all of these things after he just said out loud that he's going to retire after these last 5 projects are finished. So he's had, an immaculate career. There's never been any scandals or anything nefarious that we've heard about him ever. So why all of a sudden would he say these things that could taint his legacy? Well, in my opinion, he said these things that in case if anything comes out about him, this to me is damage control. So that he can blame it on the fact that, oh, I had a drug problem. Oh, I had problem with alcohol for years. That's what I think. Now, I could be wrong, but then again, I could be absolutely right. Okay, so I want you all to pay attention. This is all so nefarious. Like I said, we cannot sit up here and be praising these people and, looking up to them because who are they? Many of them are devils. Okay, Reed's Room said DJ Twitch and Ellen's ex, Ann Hetch, were killed around the same time because they were about to expose all of them. Let me tell you something. That's another rabbit hole that I've gone down, and we'll talk about that in another live because I have my own suspicions about all of it, beloved. Okay, and it's all nefarious. Okay, please pay attention. Right, Bobo says, so true, Queen. Denzel is worried about what might come out. Absolutely. I think that's exactly what it is. Fabu says, yes, say that, Queen. Okay, so now let's go to the next video. And I think this is where they're talking about a Marina Abramovic's spirit cooking. Now, mind you, one of these videos with Marina Abramovic, I'm not sure which one it is, but there'll be silence at the beginning. Okay, there's nothing wrong with the audio, but she said something that I just muted that part. And matter of fact, she said the same thing that I was reading to you about when she took the sharp knife and she said to do this, this, and this, and then eat the pain. Well, I muted that part because, like I said, I don't want anybody thinking that I'm trying to encourage people to do anything to themselves or anyone else.
Finger of your hand, eat the pain. Or another will be, in time of doubt, keep small meteorite stone in your mouth. Or my favorite will be, take 11 leaves of fresh green cabbage, mix with the 13,000 grams of pure jealousy, cook in iron pot till the all water evaporates, and eat it just before attack. Or mix breast milk with the sperm milk, drink it on earthquake nights.
Let's talk about the symbolism in this image and the energetic properties of your hair. So the original image that she made, this is Marina Abramovic, who is a performance artist. The original image that she made was with her partner, showing their hair entwined together. So hair is almost like an antenna. It has the ability to transfer messages. And as humans, we contain many energetic codes that we can transfer and transmit through our hair. It also helps us to receive messages from spirit. The bulk of it is on the top of your head, which is your crown, the bit which connects you to your spirit body. It contains your DNA, and it also contains memories of your life experiences. The density and depth of energy codes that are contained within your hair is pretty thick. So if you wanted to pass on those codes to another person, entwining your hair together with the intent of passing specific energetic information from one to the other would be a way to do it.
cowboy, boots and spurs, tucked in leather, water served, crumpled up a bottle of Sprite. I'm the reason dreams take flight, from the honky tonk, the subway rides. Every pocket, every stride, every pocket, every stride. I'm a dollar grand.
Okay, all nefarious. Now, in case you missed it, they were doing a whole ritual right there. Okay, they were doing an entire ritual right there in front of everybody, and many of those people were none the wiser. Okay, that's what they were doing. And pay attention to how her and Jayz was staring at each other and putting their heads together. Okay, their third eyes. Okay, and remember how they had their hair intertwined together, and the narrator was saying that the hair is like an antenna. Well, you guys know that I told you that. I've been telling you that for years. Not just on the spiritual channel, but our hair is our spiritual antennas. It is extensions of our central nervous system. Okay, this is our communications, or how we communicate with the Most High. Okay. So with that all being said, what Jayz was doing was absorbing information from her about those nefarious witchcraft practices, black magic, dark arts, and all of those things. This is a form of her transferring the energy to him. Okay, energetic transference. Okay, so basically he's getting this knowledge from her. All right. So I want you all to pay attention. And also Lady Gaga went to her numerous of times, because in fact, Lady Gaga was her protege. Okay. It's so, and just like I told you, when she was sitting there looking at the man and staring at him, and then his eyes watered and hers did too. Well, her eyes weren't watering because she was about to cry. Her eyes were watering because of the energy that she was absorbing. Okay, she was absorbing his energy. Little did he know, he's just sitting there all willy-nilly. So you see, some of these people engage in stuff to which they don't even know what they're doing. Now they're thinking this is performance art. It's not performance art. It's rituals. Okay, there's one where she throws pig's blood on the wall, and then she starts writing stuff in it, about the ingredients for her spirit cooking and all of that. These are rituals, and she's calling it performance art. It's just like when Anton LaVey, the devout Satanist who started and founded the Church of Satan, it's just like when he used to tell people that the worship of Satan doesn't mean you're worshiping the devil or some evil entity. Worshiping Satan means you're just worshiping yourself through self-enlightenment. That's what he would tell people. Because, of course, if you just go up to some random person and say, hey, you want to join the Church of Satan and worship him? The average person's going to be like, hell no. Why would I do that? So no, he would fool people. Okay, they mislead people and tell them lies and mix lies with truth to deceive them, to get them thinking about this is just a spiritual awakening. Just like when I told you they use our ancient ancestors' practices, and just like when I told you they use esoteric information. Now, Marina Abramovic uses crystals just like I do. I use crystals. I wear crystals around my neck. This is a ring of white howlite, and these earrings are the same. These are crystals. Okay, so I use them for healing. Okay, and for meditation, to raise my level of consciousness. And those of you who do it, you likely do it for the same thing. But these people take these things and use them for perverse reasons. Okay, and that is, like I said, why some people think that these things are nefarious. But it's all about the intention. That's why when I tell you to do your affirmations on the spiritual channel and to meditate and all of these things, and you manifest things, to set your intentions. Okay, Durana said trickery at its finest. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's all it is trickery. Okay. And so to unsuspecting people who don't even know about these things. Now let's go to Michelle LeMay, who is also friends with Marina Abramovic.
The fashion community is going to hate me for this one. This is Michelle Lamy, and I fell into a deep, dark rabbit hole last night, finding out more about her. Michelle was born in the 40s. She is around 80 years old. She's worked as an attorney, a clothing designer, a performer, a producer. She was born in France, but has lived in many places, including New York and Los Angeles. And she's the wife of fashion designer Rick Owens, who is also known as the Lord of Darkness in the fashion community. Michelle actually discovered Rick Owens, and a lot of people credit her for his career. One time, Michelle wore his head as a purse, I don't work in the fashion industry, so there's a lot of things that I probably don't understand, but Michelle is very highly respected among her peers, and many celebrities like the ones pictured here. Usher, Kim Kardashian, A$AP Rocky, and Kanye West. She has a very distinct style. Every morning she draws a black line on her forehead, and she says she doesn't really have an explanation for it. She also stains her fingers black. It has been reported online that Michelle got her inspiration from the Ahmadiyyah women who also used to paint on their face. She's also known for having gold-plated teeth, but the rabbit hole that I fell into last night has people convinced that Michelle is a high priestess or witch of some sorts in the Hollywood scene. Now, I'm not saying she is or she isn't, and I simply cannot get into all of the details. The information is out there if you want to look into it, but there's so much mystery surrounding this woman. Like I said, she is highly respected in the fashion and art industries. A lot of people really love her work, and a lot of other people are convinced that she controls a lot of what is going on in Hollywood and that there's something much more sinister going on, allegedly. Let me know your thoughts.
Sometimes they don't want to, and they're, Gaga, we can't get, the frequency's weird, and, it's sounding a little bit strange, and I'm like, if you don't get this right now, I swear to Lucifer, I'm gonna, I get a little bit mad. Sometimes they don't want to, and they're...
Okay, you heard that. She said she swears to Lucifer. Okay, I find it all interesting and very nefarious. Okay, now let's go to some of these photos of these people. Look at that. That almost looks like Ice Cube's son, but I assure you it isn't. Okay. This is what they do. This is Marina Abramovic eating a raw onion. This is all a part of their spirit cooking ritual. These people are all something else. Wearing her husband's head as a purse? Who does that? Okay, I find it all deplorable. Now let's go to this video about Aleister Crowley. Now, some of the words I muted, and here's why. This is all about him engaging in the same thing that Nicole Kidman's father, Dr. Anthony David Kidman, was accused of engaging in, and that is the sacrifice of these little people, okay? These little people. And so every time they mention those little people, I bleeped it out, okay? And so please pay attention. Well, I didn't add the bleep. I just muted it. But this is what they're basically talking about.
Sacrifice. In Crowley's Book of the Law, he gives evil and twisted instructions in regard to the ingredients of spirit cooking, which he claimed were dictated to him by a spirit entity named Aiwass, whom he identifies in other writings as Satan himself. In the so-called cakes of light, which are at the heart of Abramovic's spirit dinner, Satanists are instructed to provide, quote, rich, fresh blood, then the fresh blood of a child, end quote. We read that Satan instructed Crowley and Satanists in the Book of the Law after instructing to use rich, fresh blood that, quote, the best blood is of the moon monthly, speaking of course of menstrual blood, then the fresh blood of a child, or dropping from the host of heaven, then of enemies, then of priests or of worshippers, last of some beast, no matter what. This burn, of this make cakes and eat unto me, end quote. This is a reference to the spirit that is channeling Crowley, wanting worship from child sacrifice. A sacrifice that Abramovich and John Podesta, and who knows how many others, potentially practice. Incredibly, in Abramovich's spirit cooking video, we see her bring an effigy of a child that she puts near the wall with the other ingredients as part of the spirit cooking dinner. She then proceeds to splash the effigy with blood. The demonic entity that identified itself as Satan to Crowley demanded to be worshipped by the sacrifice of children repeatedly. The Book of the Law commands, quote, worship me with fire and blood, worship me with swords and spears, let blood flow in my name, I will give you their flesh to eat, sacrifice cattle after a child, kill and torture, spare not, be upon them, end quote. Crowley wrote much about sacrificing to Satan and instructs initiates in his book Magic and Theory and Practice to engage in child sacrifice. He stated, quote, a male child of perfect innocence and high intelligence is the most satisfactory and suitable victim. But the bloody sacrifice, though more dangerous, is more efficacious, and for nearly all purposes, human sacrifice is the best, end quote. Here we see Lady Gaga and her good friend, Crowley and satanic spirit cooker, Marina Abramovic, participating in a very disturbing blood-eating simulation. Abramovic seems to have a real strange fascination with blood sacrifice and even cannibalism. Here we see her walking around one of her so-called art shows where cakes are formed into human bodies and then eaten. Different celebrities appear with her at this show, including Blondie and Gwen Stefani. Of course, Lady Gaga is not the only one that Abramovic has had such a strong influence on. She has also influenced the music of Jayz.
Influence the music of Jay-Z. And I think about that the next time you listen to one of his songs, okay? And let's not forget how years ago that preacher came out and played one of Jay-Z's songs backwards, and it said, "Murder, murder, Jesus," when it was played backwards. Okay, that's all crazy. Okay, but don't just take my word for it. Okay, look at it yourself. All right, so, okay, Long Gone says, I believe Hotel California was about Omiyan Grove. I'm not going to say that word because when you say that word on here, sometimes they'll put like a little blue sticker at the bottom of the video. But yes, I agree with you. Okay, welcome to the Hotel California. You can check in anytime you like, but you can never leave. Yeah, it doesn't sound like any place I want to go. And I used to love that song until I realized the subliminals and what they were actually saying. Okay, the Eagles, that's their song. So, Measured Man says, Jay-Z says, life only begins when the church ends. Yes, he absolutely did say that. So, you know, it is all nefarious. And like I told you guys before, that Jay-Z was on a radio station here in Atlanta once. And it was after that song, Bring Me Back the Money. I think that's the name of it, but with him and Swiss Beats, where they had all of this demonic imagery. And so someone asked him on the radio, did he worship God? Now, if someone asks me, Queen, do you worship God? I'm going to say yes, of course. Jay-Z didn't say that. Jay-Z said, I believe in only one God, and left it at that. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? You didn't say whether or not you worship God, which is what they asked. And when people ask if you worship God, they literally are talking about the Most High for the most part, right? But he said, I believe in only one God. Well, what God is that, Jay-Z? Moloch, Beelzebub, Baal, Baphomets? I have questions. Okay, and why did he answer it so vaguely like that rather than being direct? Okay, I just want you all to pay attention. These people are nefarious. Just Anticipate said that video was disturbing. It absolutely was. Aqua Girl Rising said excitedly, Queen. Okay, oh, you mean exactly? Yes. Okay. Pretty Wing said clearly didn't answer the question. Right. Okay, Jonathan said Slick Joe Camel. And so anyway, with that all been said, everyone, please like and share this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all. And I have some more interesting information about Jay-Z that I'll be doing or talking about tomorrow. Okay, and here's the thing. Let me say this because I almost forgot. So when the guy that was narrating that video talked about Aleister Crowley and the spirit cooking and then talking about using the blood, you know, during the moon and all of that stuff, during a certain type of moon or whatever, the menstrual blood. Well, you know, that goes back to Diddy. Because if you remember, if you watch Tough News TV, and shout out to him, he said that an insider told him that Diddy was using the menstrual blood from Cassie and Kim Porter, okay, to do rituals. And guess what? My insider said that's absolutely true because I asked him about it and said exactly that's what he was doing. Okay, so when he was doing that voodoo and all of this stuff for nefarious purposes. Now, mind you, I do believe that voodoo can be used for good. Okay, it's all about the intentions, as I told you. Think about in 1804 when the Haitians during the Revolution used it to free themselves from their captors. But when you have people that are doing nefarious things, well, that's the problem. Okay, it's not the spiritual practice, it's the person and their ill intents. Okay, just like a Marina Abramovic talking about she uses crystals. And it was somewhere that I read, I can't remember exactly where it was, but she traveled to a myriad of places. I know one of the places she went to was China. And there was somewhere else that she went. I think it may have been China, but she said she went there because they had all of these the rich minerals, and they had all of these crystals and stones that she wanted to use and work with. And I said, I can only imagine what she's doing, or what kind of work she's doing with her crystals and stones. Okay, I use mine for healing. And then she says that she's a shaman. She's far from a shaman. Okay, my ancestors don't know her. Okay, please pay attention. And again, people are shaman by birth. Okay, not because you go to some school of mystics and then they tell you a bunch of BS and then you deem yourself as one. That's not how it works. Okay, so that all being said, Ja Wu says the girls with R. Kelly said the same thing. Oh, yeah. Speaking of R. Kelly, okay, I'm going to be doing hopefully an interview with someone with some very good information about R. Kelly coming up. Okay. So with that all being said, everyone enjoy the rest of this day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And for those of you who follow the spiritual channel, I'm not sure if I'm going to be on there today because I have some work to do, but I will be doing a members only broadcast on there tomorrow. And then, the next day, I'll be doing something for the people who are not members. Okay. So Coca-Cola said, there's no such thing as a good witch. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Exodus 22:18. Yeah, I don't believe there's no such thing as a good witch. Okay. Absolutely not. Okay, so with that all been said, you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always, above all else, beloveds, remember to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
Yo, Nick, hit him with that flavor. Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got